Carlos was rapido. Sergio was shitio. Welcome back to Fog Racing, amigos. It's the Mexican Grand Prix. Sergio Perez may as well be rolled up in a burrito and sent back packing because this is awful.
Yeah, Mexico fans probably wishing that, that Sainz was the Mexican driver, to be honest, because at least they'd have something to cheer for. I mean, he's Spanish and Mexico's a Spanish-speaking country, but, I mean, at the end of the day, let's just talk about Perez. The guy's absolute shite.
He is absolute shite.
I mean, you just cannot keep this Grand Prix. You can't keep Perez around just because of this Grand Prix. If you want someone Spanish speaking, just hire Carlos Sainz, somebody that's actually good, someone that's actually capable of getting wins and poles and beating his teammate in a competitive car. Well, Perez is done, man. And you know what? He's knocked out in Q1. It's not even a surprise. I'm not even sitting here shocked.
Yeah,
it's Perez is it?
Piastri is the shock. Perez is just, well, another one. See, for Perez, man, it's over. Alright?
Yeah, but he said, this year's been a bad year. Come on, Perez. The last 2 years have been bad years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, come on.
No, they have been really bad. I mean, there's no two ways around it. Like, there is no excuses. There is nada. There is he wrapped in Hosa. I'll tell you. Because I tell you what, right? See, for Perez, 18th when his teammate's in second. How many times are we saying this?
Yeah, I mean, Perez constantly down the grid, Max, and you know what? I mean, we'll never know the true pace of this Red Bull. We'll never know how good it is, but I think Max used to not get much credit for his victories and for his dominance, but I tell you what, whether it's just Perez is garbage or he's just simply not able to get the results that Max can get, I think we're looking at Max now and we're going, you know what, this Red Bull's actually not that good. Max is actually delivering. Max is actually getting more out of this car than he should. And that's the comparison we're now making. Perez has to go. I mean, Red Bull could keep Perez around when they were guaranteed the Constructors' Championship anyway because Max was dominating by so much. Perez didn't need to finish second. Perez didn't need to finish third or fourth. Look, you know what? Under normal circumstances, right, Perez could have finished 8th in this year's Drivers' Championship and Red Bull would still win the Constructors, but because Max's dominance is no longer there, because he's not 100, 150, 200 points ahead of everyone else, Perez now needs to at least contribute somewhat, and he's not. And it's crazy that we have Max leading the Drivers' Championship, but already with 5 races to go, Red Bull are realistically out of the Constructors. And that's just because Perez hasn't lived up to his end of the bargain.
I mean, 57 points clear in the drivers, and Perez is so far behind. Like, he is so far behind even Mercedes drivers. And, Mercedes had their fun in the summer where they won a few races, but let's be honest, man, Mercedes have been nowhere recently. They've been nowhere near the other 3 teams. It's honestly pathetic, but I mean, he's got to go. I mean, we can talk about, he brings in, merchandise and ticket sales for Mexican Grand Prix. See how big F1 is now, man. They do not need Sergio Perez to sell out Mexico.
Well, if Max and Leclerc are the lead drivers and Sainz and Perez are the second drivers, Max is leading Leclerc by 79 points, whereas Perez is trailing Carlos Sainz by 65 points. So, that's a big swing.
Yeah, well, no, Perez is 204 points behind Max Verstappen. How has that happened?
204?
Yeah.
Max has double the amount of points.
Yeah.
Sickening. And you know what? Come the end of the season, it'll probably be closer to triple.
And don't get me wrong, right? Max Verstappen, right? I think he is the best driver on the grid right now. It is what it is. But if you put any of the other top 6 drivers that drive in the other 3 teams in with Perez, they are up there. Obviously, a few of them might be, behind Norris or whatever, but they're still smoking Perez. I'd argue there's very few drivers on the grid that would have a less points total than Perez right now. We put them in that Red Bull.
Yeah, but it's not good enough.
Yeah, but anyway, we spent that much time talking about Perez. Let's get the Piastri. It just seems like whenever McLaren are dominant, he's there. But whenever they're like in a dogfight with Ferrari and Red Bull, he just seems to go elsewhere. McLaren need him up there.
They do. McLaren need... Well, Norris needs as many people between him and Verstappen as he can get.
Yep.
And that's not happening.
So he's it.
Q2, interesting. Pretty much ended before anyone could really get their final laps in.
Yep.
So it was pretty anticlimactic. You had the Aston Martins, you had the RBs ready to pounce, ready to try and get into Q3, but none of them were able to do anything because Shinoda put it in the wall. And that meant that we've seen both Haases once again in Q3. And Haas must be the most improved team of the season, for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
They're doing well.
They've been good all season, but yeah, doing better towards the end. Magnussen, I think Magnussen is good enough to stay on the grid when you compare him to other drivers, but he doesn't have...
I don't think he'd do worse than Perez at Red Bull.
And that's back, honestly, see, apart from Zhou Guanyu and Logan Sargent, I don't think there's a driver on the grid that would do a worse job than Perez.
Stroll? What do you think, Stroll?
I don't know. I think Stroll would be... I mean, all you've got to do is finish minimum 8th, really. And obviously, yeah, Perez got a few podiums early on, but that's when it was dominant, and you would still expect... I mean, let's be honest, did Perez wipe the floor with Stroll? Not really. He beat him. But it wasn't like, what Alonso does to Stroll.
And I think it's fair to say that Perez is not as good as he was back then.
No, absolutely not. I mean, as for the top six, I mean, Hamilton 6th again. Russell outqualifies him 15-5. Leclerc 4th. Will be disappointed with that mistake. Norris is 3rd, and I think the championship's over, man. Yeah, long race tomorrow, but the way the last few rounds have looked close enough, man. I was expecting McLaren to be dominant going into these last bunch of races. It just doesn't look it. It looks like Ferrari's the car to beat.
Yeah, for me, Norris is looking to win, and he's obviously hoping to get 2 Ferraris between him and Max. I mean, it could happen. Look, I think that it'll be a close fight for the win tomorrow. But my money's actually on Carlos Sainz to see out pole. I think he's been good all weekend.
Yeah, I think it'll be between Sainz and Leclerc. I feel like Leclerc will either pit early or go long, and I think that'll be the difference maker. And then it'll probably be between Norris and Verstappen for that final podium position.
It would be a shame if Ferrari gave Leclerc preferential
I don't think they will. There's
pit
nothing.
treatment. Well, maybe they believe he's still in the title fight, 79 points behind.
It'd be a bit.
If it's a 1-2 towards the end, it will be interesting to see if Ferrari ask Sainz to swap. And I believe that if Sainz was going to be there next year, I think he would swap. But with Ferrari deciding to not retain him and bring in Hamilton, could you blame Carlos Sainz if he says, no, this could be my last chance at a race win, I'm going to take it?
No, of course I wouldn't blame him.
But anyway, we'll see what happens tomorrow. I think it'll be a close fight. Top 4, I think, could finish in any order.
Yep.
But Ferrari look like the team to beat, and they've got 2 cars in the top 4. Therefore, maths say they've got a 50-50 chance of winning. You factor in that they've got Carlos Sainz on pole. They've got a better than 50% chance of winning. So yeah, I think the likelihood is we see Ferrari on the top step tomorrow, and I wouldn't be surprised if they've got 2 drivers on the podium either. So
absolutely, but I just hope it's like this next season when we all start for 0. Instead of this, Max is 60 points down the road.
Yeah, I mean, as good as it... I mean, you look at it, see from when Max's dominance started to... Look how many different, not just teams, different drivers. Sainz has won a race, or is he not?
He has, yeah.
Sainz has won a race.
I think Sainz has won 2 races, has he?
I'm not convinced. I think not since the dominance just went.
Yeah, he's won 1.
Yeah, but I think that was there. Was that early in the season?
Australia. Leclerc's won 3.
And my point is, though, right? See, since Max's dominance finished, you've had Norris win, Piastri win, both Mercedes win. You had Sainz winning early. How good would this title fight be if it was like this from the beginning, like you said, and you've legitimately got like 3 or 4 different teams, 5, 6, 7 different drivers?
Yeah, no, and that's the problem for me, man. To see if Perez wasn't at Red Bull and it was a youngster. I mean, I'm not saying they'd beat Max, but I feel like you could at least throw them in the conversation.
The issue is, realistically, see, by the time Max didn't have the dominant car, the title was already sold up. And it's interesting going in week to week, but at the end of the day, what really matters is the championship.
Yeah.
And it felt like the championship was already wrapped up early this year.
I mean, ideally...
Now, credit to Norris for staying in it, but even when you look at the numbers, he's not really reduced the gap. He's kind of just kept it.
I believe after Miami it was 53. It's 57, and he's had by far the better car. So
Disappointing.
It's disappointing. I mean, if Max DNFs tomorrow and it's a Leclerc 1-2 with Norris, maybe it'll be a different story. But we'll see how that goes, guys. Anyway, till next time. Peace.